Predator Badlands. This will be a spoiler review. I have a review about my blog, soundbareinmyhead.com. It's pretty much spoiler free in there. I did leave one little piece in there I think might have supposedly been a slight spoiler, so other than that, I think that one's pretty clean if you want to read that first or instead of this. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5. It was a pretty solid movie. I thought about maybe going a little bit higher, but I'm trying to keep consistent with my ratings this year. I had a lot of movies getting 3 this year, and I don't think it was better than some of those that got a 3. Maybe I should have went higher with some of those, but for whatever reason I didn't. So just for consistency, I'm going to give this a 3. The gist of it, and I think I'm glad this didn't turn a lot more people off. It seems like a lot of people are enjoying the movie. You have a predator that is the star of the film, so he's your hero. So the hero's the good guy. He's got his mask off the whole film, and kind of loses some of that mystique because they usually got the cool mask on most of the time. Then they take it off to show their scary alien face, and he's reluctantly teaming up with like some partners. So I think it's a lot of stuff. I think into the classic Predator, if he's hunting people, I think I can see where people would be upset with this, but I think they do a really good job of transitioning him to the hero role. I also noticed something seems a little off about his face, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, I know they were kind of redesigned him to be more emotive, and you can see his expression a little better because he's got to be a full character, not just a scary bad guy. Normally for the Predator movies, they do use just a rubber mask with like little, the mouth can open up and all that. They did end up doing CG for his face apparently, which I think was noticeable, but not like it looked bad. It was just like, that's not just the normal Predator mask we would see. They didn't try to update the animatronics or anything. It sounds like they went full CG with motion capture of the actor's face. So I mean, it worked. It looked fine, but just a little bit off. And also the fact that he wears his hair, whatever you want to call them, his braids. He wears them back in a ponytail. Very distinctive look compared to the other Predators. So I don't want to say it's off-putting, but when you first see him, you're like, well, that's not really a Predator. It's kind of in the nitpick territory once you get into the film, but when you're starting off, you're like, this is kind of weird. You're also diving deep into like the Predator lifestyle. This is the first film they called him the Yacha, besides the animated film that came out recently. It's always been used in the comic books for a long time, but usually everyone else just calls them the Predators. So it's weird to get into their culture. They got a language. You actually hear them having conversations. You see their home world. Like a lot of stuff that it's basically new to the audience. So it's interesting seeing this stuff, but it's kind of weird to get into that and then not follow up with what a Predator normally does. I mean, he starts to, but it diverges pretty quickly. So it's like I said, it's a weird start to the film, and then just as you're starting to get used to, okay, he's on this super deadly planet, and he's gonna hunt this unkillable monster. Relatively early on, he meets his sidekick, which is the synth with half a body, and you got this. And it's all the trailers, so he has to team up with her, and she's a little annoying at first. She's a little too over the top. I can't put my finger on what it reminds me of. It almost turns a little bit like an Odd Couple thing. She's kind of goofy and talkative, and he's like the stoic warrior and wants really nothing to do with her. And then they add a cutesy little mini monster to the group. Luckily, he's not part of the team as much, but it's almost overly cute. So I said it's almost like an overload. It's like, now you got this Predator. He's got emotions and feelings, and he's teaming up with this girl robot and this little cute monster, and it's kind of got this Mandalorian vibe, and maybe a little bit when King Kong travels with the baby giant monkey in the last Godzilla vs. Kong movie. It's bordering on sanitizing him to make him too family friendly, but it's done well enough where you're like, okay, I'm still gonna keep going for this ride. It's everyone's works together well, and everything meshes together well. Also, the movie is PG-13, but The violence is still a level you would expect mostly from a Predator movie, only because everything that's dying and getting sliced up is an alien or another predator or a synth. So it's like there's no human blood splattering everywhere. So the kills are solid enough, but again, it does lose something sometimes because all the carnage is like non-human characters, and it just loses a little bit of that oomph that, you know, like these people are just getting, you know, annihilated. It's just, they still are, but they're not people. It's like kind of takes you out of it just a touch. And then the next twist I didn't expect, the movie essentially becomes Weyland-Yutani versus Predator. Which would be a terrible title, so I'm glad they went with Predator Badlands. But you know, we see that Thea has a twin, and she is on mission with Weyland-Yutani to capture this monster that Deck, the Predator, wants to kill, and that puts in like the conflict between her group and, you know, our heroes. And I said it gets a little bit later in the film, but that drives the climax. That's your third arc, big fight. She ends up being the big bad, so it's a weird transition a little bit. I mean, it works, but it's like I said, it ends up being Weyland-Yutani is the bad guy in a Predator film. Closest thing we've seen to that is, you know, Alien versus Predator. Like, it's not the first time these genres mix, but it's weird that they're going with that part of the lore, the Weyland-Yutani. There's no mention of an alien. They don't mention xenomorphs. They don't say this, you know, this is the hardest thing to capture since xenomorph. But none of that comes up, so it's a weird choice because, like I said, it's just not part of the Predator universe, and to get that deep into the Predator lore and to have that be like now an essential part, it's a little weird. They're really completely trying to merge these franchises together at this point, especially on the Predator side. Aliens is not as much. What else? Score is pretty solid. It really ends up in, you know, just complimenting the movie very well. The effects all look really good. The designs, creature designs are solid. Like everything in this planet is like super deadly. Like even like every planet, like it's just everything in this planet is involved to be like, you know, at the top of their game. It's like you take the baddest, you know, things on Pandora, and they'll probably get smoked by some like the mid-level, you know, creatures on this planet. It's somewhere between, like I said, a Pandora as far as the work they put on the creature designs and like how they seem to work with their environment and mesh together, and like some of the later or the Alien prequels where you get to like Covenant and it's like these other crazy monsters that are like everything there is gonna kill you. It's like somewhere in the middle of that, and it works. Everything looks pretty cool. I also like the twist, and I didn't figure out till the the last second. That's not the last second, but pretty. I like the twist that the baby alien that was tagging along turned out to be a child of the unkillable monster that he was trying to stop. I thought that was a solid twist, and I didn't see it coming until until the thing sniffed him and picked up the scent that the baby left on him. So that was interesting, going from this scary monster to now this thing's actually a mother and like needs saving. And as far as that final action sequence, it's weird because normally it's the human characters that have to be resourceful to take out this predator. Use your surroundings, do whatever you can find around you to fight back. Schwarzenegger did it in the first Predator. They really did it again in Prey. Now this Predator, he's gathering all the stuff that he's encountered on this planet that he knows can be weaponized, and now he's taking that to the taking the fight to the the bad guys, which in this case are synthetics mostly. So it was interesting. It's kind of interesting because it's always the underdog story of these Predator movies. Like the people are well outmatched by the Predator, and they have to be resourceful to stop one. And now we got the run of the litter Predator, and now he has to be resourceful to like level up and be on the level of like a normal Predator. So I think it works. Also, I like that there's no forced callbacks. Like I just recently watched the Predator, and there was some really bad forced callbacks and lines of dialogue that are just so blatantly in your face and corny. Like this one, nothing really jumps out at you like, they said that in the last movie, or they said that before. Like, it's all pretty. There's some visual stuff like the giant supersized loader that they use as a weapon at the end of the film. Like okay, that's a callback to actually an Aliens film, but it's not like hitting you in the head with it like, I remember this. So I think it's all subtle, and I really appreciated that. Any of the other callbacks. And then the end's a little on the vague side. You know, he comes back, basically kills his father in the fight because the father's the one who started this whole thing. I'm not going over plot details, so I don't want to run back and explain the whole family dynamic. And then the mom shows up, and apparently she's presumably scarier than the dad. Like, that part was kind of like, okay, and then it's over. But like, overall, I thought it was a solid movie. Just something wasn't quite hitting me. I think it was, as I said, again, it was just a tiny bit more sanitized than I would have liked. Especially for like their first real dive into like predator culture. It's like, okay, we see the one that's like the outcast, you know, so we don't really get to see as much into what their culture's like, because this one's like, well, you can't use him as an example because he's like the runt and nobody likes him. And again, he's got the little cute like alien teaming with him, and he's got like, you know, the sassy, you know, sidekick, and he's carrying her like, you know, Chewbacca carrying 3PO on his back. And I said, it gets really close to being it's kind of stupid, but the movie's so well done that everything still ends up working in the end. So I think that's all I got on this one. Like I said, I have the theoretically it's a spoiler-free review. I have reviews for other movies and other TV shows, a couple video games. I have a comic strip that I do. All that stuff can be found at soundbettermyhead.com. So if you want to check any of that out, that'd be pretty awesome. And other than that, thanks for watching.